value, as I would say it, so correct me if I'm wrong, is what a solution can do for you and not how it does it. I
And
think
yeah,
how it does it part is the functions and features that we sometimes lean on as a crutch, but what the solution can do for you or the like business outcomes that it can create, like you said,
yeah.
drive revenue, decrease expenses, increase efficiency, etc. And I think that's to have a successful sale, to influence the, people who are signing the checks. They're going to need some sort of business justification as to why they should, pay a software vendor $100,000 for software. Like, what are they going to get in return? And a business case is a business justification as to like how that purchase is going to benefit them and align with their goals and objectives as an organization. With that said, I've also different value consultants use different terminology for this. I just commonly refer to it as a business case. And that's what
Mhm.
I would say, like, I would define it as a business justification. But maybe if you would just want to elaborate on, what you think a business case is and maybe what it looks like, what does it include, what does it not include, how do you go about creating one?
So to add on your point about what are the outcomes you get, I think it's really key. At the same time, a great value team will do a great work at translating on how do you get actually to that outcome. And you need to be able to justify that. You could say, well, we'll help increase revenue for your organization, but the justification behind it you need to be able to say by doing this and that. And we have seen evidence that we have done that in the past at those clients. So I think this is really key, that not just throw numbers on a slide and just saying, hey, Mr. Customer, you sign tomorrow, you'll get 100 million in the bank in 2 weeks. It is big numbers bring big questions and bring more issues, which actually leads naturally to what a business case is. So when we do a business case or a value assessment, the funny thing about it is that when we start such an engagement, it's always to ask the customer, what is a business case for you? Because every person, every organization has a different vision on that, and they have different processes. And in some cases, all they need is just to tell them that, hey, this is what we have done with that customer, and these are the key outcomes you'll get. And in some other cases, the business case needs to include an internal rate of return, net present value, payback period, and all those cool financial things. So you have really this scale of, I would say, the business justification. The business case needs to cover, I think, a number of key areas. First of all is what are their business objectives and what they try to achieve, why we believe we can help them. Using some of the customers' numbers, try to quantify what would be the impact. The impact needs to be quantified over time. That's a key thing, because you always have implementation, you always have training. People will not get 100% of the value on day one. It will take time. So you need to take that time aspect into consideration. And then you need to do financial modeling and then the explanation behind it. Finally, the most important thing about such an exercise is that the numbers need to be from the customer and not from the vendor. What I mean by that is that if I'm trying to sell you something, Randall, today, and I say, hey, you're going to make 100 million by signing this contract today. There you go. Here's the business case. Go and sell it to your partner. You'll probably have a hard time, because unless you are really convinced that this number is correct, you will not be able to sell it. And I think what such an exercise does, it's when you do it well, you get buy-in from the person and try to agree on the number. Are we too optimistic? Are we pessimistic? It's nice to be conservative when you do such things, but you build that vision and that common actually goal that we want to achieve over time with a client, and that the client feels comfortable to defend that themselves. I think this is really key, because we want to empower them. We just don't want to throw some numbers on a slide, hoping that it will stick.
I look at it as like facilitating the process,
Yeah.
right? You're having this value engagement, you're approaching this in a consultative way and getting them to think about this, just like your mentor had asked you these 5 questions and you solved your own problem. The essence to me is to ask curious questions to help them understand that this is the solution that they need to buy for them, and that their problem that they're trying to fix with the solution is too big and ugly not to be fixed immediately. And then to help justify that using their facts and figures to quantify how ugly that problem is and how valuable the solution would be to them. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. The reason why companies are not choosing you is because they make no decision. And I think it's really key to help them see that the issue is there and it needs to be solved, and that it's worthwhile to grab actually that problem and to solve it.
I think 60% of these deals end in no decision, which is a huge number. And I've built a presentation before talking about value consulting. And it's like, can you afford that? Like, that's the catch line of the slide. Can you afford to lose 60% of your deals? And even if, okay, we're not going to solve the entire problem, but like, what if we got 5% more deals? That's going to be a huge impact to the revenue of the organization. Significant.
Yeah. Because it takes as much effort to make a 5K transaction as a 50K of a 200K transaction. It might be slightly shorter maybe for the 5K, but not always. So it's still a lot of effort. So you really want to increase the odds on your side to make sure that you get out of the no decision area. And I think one key benefit we see in doing those exercises, that when a customer is not willing to work with you on a value assessment or a business case, can already be one of the first signals that maybe that customer is not ready to commit and that they're just looking around, and you should maybe not invest too much time into that opportunity.
Yeah, qualify the deals in or out.
Yeah.
And I think this can be helpful. We don't live in an ideal world. No company is optimized fully, right? So when you think about a value team, what do you think maybe the ideal way to have a value team within an organization looks like? And then maybe how do you integrate that approach into what the organization already has going on?
It is probably one of the hardest questions to answer. It comes down, I think, to getting a team that has sufficient expertise to build those value models, and as we discussed earlier, and be able to translate them and educate the teams into that. So you need to have that level of expertise. You need the sufficient level of availability of the team to be able to have those conversations. And it comes down, I think, mostly to the buy-in from, in many cases, the sales side of the house. In how do you make sure that the sales leadership is talking value as well with their teams? So what you might see in some organizations is that you might have some sales leaders having been successful, having value engineers or value consultants in their past that help them close multi-million-dollar deals, and they believe in the value. And so they will be investing in their organization and would say, well, we need a large team, and they will hire 5, 10, 20 people to build a strong value team. We've seen that in many organizations over the last years. But what happens is that if they just stop to hiring those people, but they don't bring the knowledge of those people into their forecasting conversation, the account planning, account review conversations with their sales leaders and the sales teams, then it tends to die. And I think this buying and having those conversations need to happen. So if a sales leader will be asking their sales reps to, okay, but what is the business case for the customer? What will they get out of it? Who are the key stakeholders, and how do we impact those 5 key stakeholders in that deal? What is the value for each one of them? If sales leaders don't have this conversation with the sales reps would not be thinking about it, except the top ones that always know that they need to do that. And that's when a value program risk of dying or not be successful and not delivering the value that it should be.
Yeah, I think that in my experience, it has to be an integrated part of the sales process, and that has to be reinforced by sales leadership. It can't be successful if it's like an add-on or a bolt-on or something that you do in addition to or on top of the sales process. Yeah. It has to be an integrated approach.
It's pretty much probably what you've seen in the wealth finance industry, where you are looking actually at what your clients want to, what do they want to be in 15, maybe not 50 years or 20, 30, 40 years with their money? What kind of lifestyle do they want to achieve? What is their goal? How do we help them get there? So what is the value by the end of the day that they want to get from their investment?